Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple released macOS Sequoia 15.5 to the public. macOS 15.5 Sequoia is available around the world at the same time for everyone on all macOS 15 supported devices. This came in at 2.98 gigabytes on my M4 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch and was the exact same size on my M1 Ultra Mac Studio as well, so it's about 3 gigabytes or so if you're coming from the latest public update. Now, this was released alongside many other updates such as iOS 18.5, iPadOS 18.5, watchOS 11.5, and updates for Apple TV, HomePod, Apple Vision Pro, and older updates such as iPadOS 17.7.7. Now let's go ahead and close this. Let's go to the Apple in the upper left, click About This Mac, and we'll take a look at the build number and then talk about what's new. So you'll see it's Sequoia 15.5. If we click on it, we have a build number of 24F74. This build just lets you know you're on the latest version. Now, as far as the latest features and changes, well, the first thing has to do with screen time. If you have screen time and you actually have it set up for a child, so maybe you've got limits for a child, maybe for activity, once they go ahead and enter their password and successfully enter it, you'll then get a notification on the parental device. So that's sort of a new update that they've brought along with this that just makes it a little bit better. Another thing they've updated has to do with AppleCare. If we go to General, then we go to About instead of clicking on AppleCare and Warranty. Under About, you can see AppleCare Plus when it renews, and if we click on Details, give it just a second here, we have a new design overall. So the design has changed just like it did on iOS 18.5, and then we can manage the plan and get support, learn more about benefits and those sorts of things. So we can see our current coverage, and they've updated this interface. If we go back and then we go into AppleCare and Warranty here, this has a slight change in the top where we used to have a large area that said AppleCare and Warranty. Now it's just been shrunk down, and then we have our devices below it. So that's been updated with all the different statuses. And then if we click on one, we've got the same sort of update that we had in the other screen. I'm not really sure why they've done this. It takes a moment to load. It's fairly slow. It's loading from the web, so we'll give it just a moment here. And you'll see it says something went wrong. This often fails for me, and it looks like it's still doing it here. As far as other features, well, they did update Mail. So if we go into Mail, within Mail, just like on iOS 18.5, if you're using categories, we now have a little hint that there's something more to the right. Click on it and you can see All Mail. Click back to it and you can see your primary inbox. If we go back to All Mail and then we go to the three-dot menu here, you can see that we can show contact photos. Those will show up, so that's been updated instead of having to go into the settings themselves. And then if we go into About categories, it gives a description as to what each category is: primary, transaction, updates, and promotions. So this has been updated a little bit, and it's just a nice description of each thing here. Let's close out of Mail, and the next new thing has to do with enterprise features, as this is something Apple doesn't normally cover but has some great notes. And on what's new for enterprise in macOS Sequoia, this is Apple's page where they have some great notes. So many more notes than what we get with the typical public release notes. And you'll see macOS Sequoia 15.5. macOS now supports the DHCP v6 fully qualified domain name option. Also, the location services pane is no longer incorrectly skipped during setup when MDM skips user creation and a user is created outside of the setup assistant. It also resolves additional issues, for example, such as resolves an issue where the Mac computer is updating from macOS 15.4 with Platform SSO configured may start up in recovery until File Vault is disabled. It also resolves an issue where Command Center presents repeated alerts that a screen sharing application is accessing your screen. In addition to that, Platform SSO keys no longer fail attestation, and Apple Filing Protocol client is deprecated and will be removed in a future version of macOS. So some great notes, and there's some other things that Apple mentioned as well. If we go to their public-facing release notes, and in macOS Sequoia 15.5 RC release notes, which the RC is actually the exact same build as the public version, you just had it earlier if you were a developer or beta tester, you'll see that they resolved a couple issues. They resolved an issue where customizing display calibration using the Pro Display Calibrator causes a system reboot on 14-inch and 16-inch M4 MacBook Pros. That can be found in your system settings under Displays, then you'll scroll down, and then you have your presets here and you can calibrate the display. So there were some issues here when you were trying to fine tune this and sort of calibrate it. It could cause issues. That's now been resolved. Another thing they resolved has to do with service management, where they fixed an issue preventing apps from registering helper executables on macOS. This maybe could have affected things such as your browser using VPNs where that wasn't working before. That seems to be fixed in this update. So lots of bug fixes in this update, even though they only listed really nothing as far as bug fixes other than in the notes. So Apple really needs to update their notes a little bit better as far as what bugs they've fixed. Now there are a lot of security updates as well, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. And under Apple's security release website, if we scroll down, you can see all of the latest releases. If we go under macOS Sequoia 15.5, there's about 30 or so bug fixes or security patches. So you'll see if we scroll down, we have everything from audio to core audio. We have image I/O, installer, kernel, MDNS responder, and much more. And so lots of things, including ProRes, and the impact is the issue where an attacker may be able to cause unexpected system termination or corrupt kernel memory. To fix it, the description says the issue was addressed with improved input sanitization. And then we have the CVE number and the person that helped them find the bug or the security vulnerability. So lots of things here as far as patches, and then you can see all of the other things here where they acknowledge those that helped them with the overall security patch. So as far as those updates, lots of important things here. Now, as far as future updates, well, let's go into the calendar here. And typically Apple will release the next beta, so macOS 15.6 Beta 1 could be as soon as this week or maybe next week. Of course, they're working on the next version along with iOS 19, and we'll see that for the first time on June 9th at WWDC 2025. So we'll see macOS 16, see what changes they're making, how they're making it similar supposedly to iOS 19 with more features and changes. So we'll have to wait and see what that entails, but it's not too far away. And then after that, of course, we'll have macOS 16 Beta 1. We'll have betas throughout the summer and typically a public release either in September or October. Sometimes the Mac releases vary depending on when Apple finishes it. So sometimes we'll get one later in September, sometimes the same day as iOS 19. It just depends year to year. Now, as far as the overall performance, I've been using it throughout the day. No real issues whatsoever. You've seen everything open up pretty quickly overall here. So things like system settings, and of course, this is one of the latest Macs, so it's very fast, but in general, it's performing well. As far as overall battery, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Under battery, it's been lasting me no problem on these updates, so I've been pretty impressed overall. You'll see battery health is normal, and we have 100% maximum capacity. So I just leave it on optimized battery charging, and I use this to travel when I went and looked at the S25 Edge, other things for CES, the S25 Ultra. I used this same MacBook and had no issues. It easily lasts me through the day, even if I edit 1 or 2 videos. No problems there. And then if we take a look at the last 10 days, I often plug it in, but you can see the overall battery life is pretty minimal, maybe 10 or 15% in a day or so. It seems to really sip power unless you're editing videos. But again, I can edit a couple videos, no problem. If we go into general and then we go down to storage, Apple Intelligence is taking up some storage from time to time for some people. So if we go down here, you'll see the overall data. I'm using 4.48 terabytes of 8 terabytes. That's because of video typically, and I need to sort of delete some of those files. That's very normal when I'm editing a lot of video, but you can see other things as well as system data. So we'll give it a moment to calculate. And you'll see system data is 34 gigabytes. macOS is taking up 21.52 gigabytes. Apple Intelligence is taking up 10.64 gigabytes. So a little bit more for sure than iOS, but it is taking up more space, but I have a lot more space here to use. So again, most of that is video editing and things taking up a lot of storage there. If you're wondering if you should install macOS 15.5, I would highly recommend it due to the overall security issues, and many people have been telling me so far that it fixes little bugs and glitches that they've had. Now, of course, only time will tell, but I've been using it to edit video with Final Cut Pro, no problem. I've had no issues with any of my normal apps, social media, Safari, Chrome, Mail, or any of those. So far, so good, but again, these could change over the next few days as things finish processing in the background. Let me know if you've installed macOS 15.5 in the comments below. And of course, if you found any additional features or noticed any changes, I'd love to hear from you there as well. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.